Hi everyone, welcome to Transcend Yoga. My name is Jillian, and this is another episode of Yoga Therapy Thursday. So today I want to talk about something that's very personal to me. Today we're going to talk about ADHD, and I'm talking about ADHD in both children and adults. So my personal story is this: I have ADHD, and I did not realize I had it until my 20s. I was taking a class in college called Educational Psychology, and the professor was talking about ADHD. And at the time, ADD and ADHD were separated. They were not put together in the same category like they are now. And he said ADHD is perhaps overly diagnosed, perhaps. But he said ADHD is highly underdiagnosed. And he said, raise your hand if you have any of these symptoms. And he ticked off 5 or 7 things, and my hand was up for every single one. And my whole life and my whole world changed at that moment, because it was just like, that's it. That explains so much of my school career. The inability to focus, the daydreaming, the missing assignments, the unorganizational mess that my desk was, that my book bag was, that my room was, so many things. And the reason, so I didn't think much of it after he said that. So I was like, yep, I probably have ADHD, and this explains so many things. But the way I looked at it, and this was my misconception and my bias, was that it was a school thing. And I was like, I'm already in college, I'm almost done, so who cares? And that was also the reason I didn't go for I didn't go for an official diagnosis, nor did I go for medication, because I figured I made it this far without medication. What's a few more years? And then I'll be out of school and it won't matter anymore. I was very wrong when I thought that. So it wasn't until recently, the past few months, that I really started looking at how ADHD affects me. And a few things happened in my life that really impacted me, and it was just so frustrating to me. So I really started saying, okay, how am I being affected by ADHD? First of all, I went for an official diagnosis and I got it. I still did not go for medication because it's just not for me. When I read the side effects, I just wasn't interested. Some people absolutely need to go on medication, and it is the best option for them. And if it is the best option for you, no judgment here. I just don't feel I need it. I'll manage in other ways, I guess, until I decide I need it. Maybe one day I'll just be like, I need it. So until that day comes, I'm going to do without. So what is ADHD? What are the common misconceptions of ADHD? So one common misconception is that it is just a low attention span, and that's it. And yes, sometimes, but not always. There's much more to it than just a low attention span. Another misconception is, well, it's only for active boys. Well, a boy can be active and not have ADHD, and a girl can be active and not have ADHD, but maybe they do. So just because somebody's active does not necessarily mean they have ADHD, and just because they're not hyperactive doesn't mean they don't have ADHD. So yes, boys are much more likely to be diagnosed than girls, because boys present differently than girls do. And so if you are a girl, if you are a woman who suspects that you have ADHD, then I encourage you to look into some of the symptoms. I'm not going to name all of them here. So another common misconception is it means poor grades. You have to have poor grades if you have ADHD, and that's not necessarily true either. There are many people who passed school with flying colors who still have ADHD. My grades were not fantastic, but I certainly didn't fail anything either. So I was kind of right in the middle, and I just managed to, I got by, and still had ADHD though. And it's interesting because in the 80s, it was just a little bit different. So this is something that was not very well understood. even in the 80s, and it's only now being more understood. Even when I was a teacher several years ago, there was a lot of misconceptions around it. And yeah, it's just, you really have to research what ADHD is, because the other problem is my ADHD probably looks a lot different than your ADHD. There are some commonalities, but not every single person presents with all of the symptoms. And there's just a lot to it. That's all I'm going to say. So what is ADHD and ADD? The best definition that I heard is that it's an issue with regulation. And that kind of sums up everything. So is it a low attention span? Sort of. Sometimes, yes. For me personally, somebody will say one word in a conversation and that will create a whole load of other thoughts and scenarios, and yeah, just a whole bunch. And I have to remind myself, okay, you're in a conversation. Stay here, focus here. So yeah. Is it fidgeting and hyperactivity? Yeah, sometimes. I don't have the hyperactive aspect of it always. I do remember times in my life where I was overly hyperactive, where people are like, calm down, Jillian. Like, oh, come on. And again, it was just a regulation issue. I had an issue regulating when am I being overly excited or even underly excited, like underwhelmed. Like, it's just like, when things that I should have perhaps reacted, should have. What does that mean? So it can also be emotional regulation, and that's something that is not often talked about. It's an all over regulation issue. So it's not just thinking, and it's not just attention. So another common thing that is not discussed in the DSM-5, because emotion, that's hard to measure. So emotional regulation is also really difficult, part of ADHD. And of course, it's other things, forgetting things, making little mistakes, executive functioning is an issue. But again, you can have ADHD and have decent executive functioning. You can have shitty executive functioning, but not have ADHD. So it's really, what you have to remember is, I know a lot of these things, people will be like, oh, well, yeah, I forget things too. And yeah, sometimes I'm disorganized. Yes, sometimes is the key word. People with ADHD, it's often. And it's not just, oh yeah, I just forget things sometimes. It's a whole host of things. So you have to look at everything. It's easy for somebody to say, oh yeah, well, sometimes, my emotions are out of control. Yes, I know. Yes, sometimes everybody has that. But sometimes, again, is the key word here. So what do we do? If we have ADHD, whether you're a child or you're an adult, what do we do with this information? So number one, do your research. I'm barely touching the surface of what ADHD here is. And really, I'm only talking about my view of it and what I've experienced with it. But it's a whole slew of other things that I just cannot cover in this short video. So number one, do your research. Make sure that if you suspect you have it, or you suspect a child of yours has it, then research it. Talk to your doctor about it. If they are not listening to you, go to another doctor, get another opinion. Yeah, that's huge. Number two, protein is going to be huge for the brain. So eat lots of protein. Number three, hydrate. Get your daily amount of water. It regulates your system. So yeah, we just need it. Just drink water. I cannot express the importance of water enough. 4, exercise. So obviously cardio is really good. If you're a child, running around everywhere, you don't need cardio. But as an adult, get your cardio. And okay, I shouldn't say that. Kids, get your cardio too. Go run around. Everybody needs cardio. So my apologies. Children, go get cardio. Adults, go get cardio. Another thing that's helpful along with exercise is strength training. So make sure that you are strengthening and using your muscles. So for kids, this can be a TheraBand. If you saw the rubber bands, really fantastic for children with ADHD is using the stretchy bands. It helps them with fidgeting as well. Obviously, I'm going to recommend yoga. Obviously. Yoga, the benefits of yoga, and I'm specifically talking about yoga poses here. So the benefits of yoga poses is you are orienting your body in different ways. So you're not just head here, feet there. You are taking your feet wide, you're taking your arms wide, you are going sideways sometimes, you're doing inversions, your head is down by your feet sometimes. So you are moving your body in different orientations, and that is super important to the brain. Number 5, am I on number 5? I lost count. Surprise. So number whatever we're on is breathing. So breathing goes with yoga. That's part of it. Yoga is not just the postures. Yoga is breathing as well. And breathing, again, helps regulate the body. So all aspects of yoga. What is the purpose of yoga? One of the purposes is to regulate the body. What do people and children with ADHD have an issue with? Regulating the body. So you might as well do something that your body doesn't do too well naturally. So we do these outside things like yoga. Breathing is super important. Another thing is, of course, meditation. So meditation is huge. And you might say, I can't pay attention. My thoughts wander. How am I supposed to meditate? That is why you meditate. So with ADHD, yes, it's difficult to control your thoughts. Yes, it's very easy for our mind to just go off. It does not mean we do not meditate. We do it anyway. Is it going to be more difficult for us? Yes, it is. We do it anyway. So meditation is really important. Another thing, am I at number 6? I think I'm at number 6 or 7, 20, whatever number I'm at. Boundaries. So draw hard, fast boundaries for yourself. I'm very lucky to have a partner who understands some of the things that I need. And recently he has started asking me, hey, I want to talk. Is this a good time to talk? Before I would have just been like doing 10 million other things and being like, oh yeah, totally, go talk. I'm listening. And I'd have no clue what he said. I'd miss it. And then he'd be like, hey, remember the thing? No, what are you talking about? The thing. So I have had to set boundaries for myself as well. And when he comes to me and says, hey, is this a good time to talk? I say, no, give me 5 minutes and then we can talk. So setting boundaries like that. Another boundary I set for myself is exercise. No matter what, I exercise every day. There is no other choice for me. So even if I'm not feeling well, it might be a slow yoga practice. It might be going for a walk, but it is something. Often, I love doing exercises that are hard and fast and strength training. It's my favorite. So that's what I do. But I know that obviously yoga, there's different types of yoga. So I do the slower aspects of yoga as well. I will just go for a walk. I'll go for a vigorous bike ride. Sometimes I run if I'm really interested in that. So setting those boundaries for yourself and saying, this is something I need. There's no other way about it. So maybe I'll do a video on actual yoga poses. Maybe I'll do a yoga practice for ADHD one of these days, but today is not for that. Today I just wanted to give some information on yoga, on how yoga can help. One other thing is to find somebody who supports you. So that might be family, it might not. Find somebody who understands that ADHD is something that is a difficult thing to live with, but it's not impossible. And there's lots of things that you can do. And I've just named a few. So find yourself somebody who will support you. If you can't find somebody or you want more information, please contact me, because that's what yoga therapy is about. That's why I'm here, because I want to help you with ADHD. I work with children, I work with teens, I work with adults. So if this is something that you're interested in and you want to know more about, please contact me, reach out to me, and we'll do some yoga and we'll get your body regulated in a way that works for you, because it's not impossible to live with this. It's hard, but it's not impossible. So thank you for listening. And if you have ADHD and you made it this far, 10 points for you. Good job. And yeah, that's it. Thank you, and I'll see you later.